Socialist Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez teaming up yet again to push their left-wing agenda. This time they're demanding that the government declare climate change a national emergency. And they're calling for a massive mobilization of federal resources to deal with it. Here's Bernie Sanders ramping up the climate hysteria with this comparison.
I'm reminded today, in terms of the crisis that we face in climate change, about where the United States was in 1941 when it was attacked at Pearl Harbor. And what happened at that point, having to fight a war on two fronts, in the East and in Europe. The United States came together, and within 3 years, it had created the type of armaments program that was necessary to, in fact, win the war.
Drive me crazy.
Dana,
win the war.
Right, Pearl Harbor?
I don't know. Look, here, you know why he wants Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to help him? Because he absolutely needs her. His campaign is almost invisible. It's amazing. You think about the debates. Nobody talked about him in the debates. Nobody's talked about him since. He had a pretty good fundraising number. Nobody even talked about that. So he has got to figure out a way to have some relevance. And if I were Elizabeth Warren, I might just want AOC to go to Bernie, right? Like, I wouldn't want that endorsement. Like, let him have that because it is not working out that well for Bernie this time around.
No, I said that a while ago, that if you get AOC's endorsement, you own that craziness or whatever that she might say that day that's idiotic or irrational or whatever. But, Greg, how do you run on I'm going to fight climate change? Because these candidates essentially are telling the American people, your gasoline's going to be $6, $7, $8 a gallon. We're going to tell you what kind of car to drive, and you might actually lose your job if you work even anywhere near the energy industry.
Before I address that, kudos to Bernie Sanders. Comparing climate change to Pearl Harbor is an improvement. He didn't say the Holocaust, which has been the usual go-to analogy for the far left. Whenever something is bad, it's like Hitler or it's the Holocaust. So maybe they're learning to choose other things, but Pearl Harbor is still pretty bad. Fear is the quickest way to get to your pocketbook, and they take an issue and they make taxation the only solution. To your point, their demands, when you're talking about gasoline, can only be endured by the white rich. Let's face it, it's a white, liberal, rich, the Tom Steyers of the world that can endure these climate change restrictions. But it's going to harm the lives of minorities, right? This is the most anti-minority issue. Blue-collar Americans as well. If you're talking about eliminating jobs, restricting modes of transportation, increasing prices on basic living needs like gasoline, these are things that rich white people can just shrug off and go, and then feel really good about the fact that they have a Tesla, and they could feel really good that they, have solar panels because it's totally affordable to them, and then everybody else is like,
they bought an offset.
Yes, yeah, they bought carbon offsets. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, wait a second. I love this show because I learn about white privilege from Greg. So is that right?
It is. That's white privilege.
If I was white, I'd get a Tesla?
Yes. In fact,
can you believe this?
Yes, they get discounts, Juan.
They get discounts?
They get discounts.
Nobody told me.
I know.
Nobody.
I know a dealer. For Teslas, too.
I tell you what, you could go with me.
Yes.
You've already helped pay for the privilege because of all the tax credits they've got, the tax breaks that.
Is that what this is like double jeopardy? I'm telling you. Well, anyway, I think that you guys are right about Bernie. I don't think we're talking about him. I don't think that he is moving ahead in this campaign. But I just think that this is, to me, sounding the alarm. I think when you have 90 degrees in Alaska this summer and you have hail in Guadalajara in Mexico, I think people think, something's going on. Flooding of the crops.
But you can reverse that one. Like you laugh at people, you laugh at Republicans who say, "Oh, it's so cold. Thanks, global warming." It's the same thing. You can't play both sides.
No, but I'm just saying something is going on with look, I just think, okay, if you guys don't want to say something's going on. When you see 90 degrees in Alaska.
Okay. I thought weather had nothing to do with climate change.
Oh, it does have something to do with it.
Only when Democrats say it.
Nothing to do with climate change.
I think they're sounding the alarm. I don't think there's much of a price to pay for it in terms of the Democratic primary process. I do think it's a very proactive talking point for Bernie. He's going to take it out on the campaign trail, and it will resonate.
Jesse.
Listen, Juan, it's okay to sound the alarm.
Yes.
But then when you say everyone's going to die if you don't give me all of your money, that's not sounding the alarm. That's a fear tactic. But they do this all the time. The Democrats use death to motivate. They say, you know, they're going to throw Granny over the cliff, tax cuts kill you, police kill you, capitalism kills you, you know, the weather is a kamikaze pilot. By the way, Bernie should apologize to the Japanese. Very insensitive analogy comparing climate change to Pearl Harbor. I think he owes them an apology.
I'm just glad Juan didn't say
Very sensitive to these issues.
He's just starting a conversation, because my head would have exploded.
Well, I didn't do that to you, did I, kid? I didn't do that to you.
Appreciate that.
Something is going on. That's what we know.
That's what I say, yeah.